all your questions regarding health, fitness, nutrition, weight loss, maybe some other questions. And this video, this live stream is made specifically for you. So if you have any kind of questions regarding those subjects, ask away in the chat box. I see all your questions down below. I get to pick the ones that I see to be the most relevant for everybody and answer them specifically. And just know that if you have a single question, I guarantee you hundreds of other people have the same exact question. So by asking me questions, you're helping somebody else on their own journey. And before we get into this, if you can hear me, see me, make sure this mic is working. Drop number 1 down in the comments below. And if you're watching this replay at a later time, type replay down below so I know when you saw this video. So ask me all your questions in the chat box. I'll get to see them and answer you as your questions come. Let's see who we got here. For some reason I can't see the questions. What is going on? If you can hear me and see me, perfect. Awesome. What's up, Nancy? Ask me all your questions in the chat. I'll get to as many people as I possibly can. If you ask me a question, I guarantee you a lot of other people have the same exact question as you do. What do I think of intermittent fasting? I've done intermittent fasting on and off for years. So if you don't like breakfast, intermittent fasting is probably for you. So for what I mean by that is intermittent fasting works not because it's magical, not because it's a magic pill or solution or is this kind of a fat zapping effect. Intermittent fasting works, and it has worked for me before because it creates a calorie deficit by means of including a time restriction. So if you can only eat during 6 to 8 hours over the course of the entire day, you're effectively eating nothing outside that time window. So you help yourself create a calorie deficit by not eating during certain periods of time. So if you don't like breakfast, because intermittent fasting usually eliminates breakfast, then by all means do it. But if it will only work if you're, number one, in a calorie deficit, and number two, calorie deficit. That's the only thing. So if you don't like breakfast, give it a shot. It's not magical. It is useful for a lot of people, but not for some. And it's also very beneficial if it fits your schedule. So if you're, for example, the type of person who maybe works out 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and you want to eat afterwards, then it's probably not for you, because if you can't eat until 11, 12, or 11 a.m. or 12 p.m., you're going to be feeling like you're just on edge the entire time, and you're going to feel terrible. So don't do it if your schedule doesn't allow it. What are my favorite plant-based proteins? I haven't tried plant-based proteins before, but I know that Legion supplements have some plant-based protein options. You can go ahead and try them out if you want to. But I haven't tried what do you call them? Vegetarian or plant-based proteins myself. But I'm sure it tastes absolutely fine. What sugar-free brands do I use? As far as sugar-free brands, I use Walden Farms. Is absolutely amazing. Most of their stuff is terrible, but they have very good sugar-free or zero-calorie options. They have chocolate syrup and they have pancake syrup. So it's usually found maybe in Target or maybe different kinds of like not higher end, but like actually a lot of supermarkets have them. So Walden Farms has 2 amazing sugar-free syrups, chocolate syrup and pancake syrup. It's actually acceptable. I know it's not like the real thing, but it's actually very, very good. Some protein supplements make you feel bloated. Yeah, I mean, that's totally normal if your body reacts differently to them. It's not going to be that way for everybody, but if you feel bloated because you eat a certain food, maybe you can do a process of elimination. Stop eating that food or taking that supplement, see how you feel afterwards. Everybody's different, and you shouldn't if something works for somebody else, doesn't necessarily mean that it will work for you. So find what works for you, find what doesn't work for you, and either do certain things or don't do certain things. It's all like a process of elimination as far as sustainability and what you can keep doing for over a long period of time. Let me know where you watch me from down in the comments below. I'm in New York. I'm curious where you watch me from right now. You lost 70 pounds doing keto, but you gained it all back once you stopped. That is a very, very common thing that I hear all the time with keto, which is why I am not for keto, but I don't also listen. If keto helps you create certain healthy habits, like you get to eat a bit better, you start to maybe um, you adopt some healthy habits, you get a bit more active, but you're doing keto, I mean, it's fine, right? Because you're still kind of doing certain things that are better for you, but you should know that it's probably not going to be that sustainable for you, because if you look at a carb afterwards after doing keto, you will likely put a lot of weight, sometimes all the weight, unfortunately, back on. So you should understand that it's probably not sustainable long term as far as doing keto. I don't know anybody who's still doing keto to this day consistently every single day. Maybe like one person out of a million, but most people, they fall off track doing keto, and it doesn't help you create a healthy food relationship. Thank you so much, Pam. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, swimming is great for cardio or just burning calories. It's not as easily accessible for a lot of people, which is why I recommend walking. So I talk a lot about walking because people tell me running is better, swimming is better. I don't know, riding a bike or doing high intensity cardio is better. Better for who? Because a lot of those things do not create consistency. A lot of people that are very overweight or obese, like I was before, you can't expect a person to create consistency doing crazy kinds of cardio or even swimming. Because first of all, swimming, not a lot of people have access to it. If you do, by all means go swim, but people don't have access to it. Everybody has access, most people have access to walking, vacation or home, in the gym, wherever you are. On top of that, it's not about how many calories you burn as quickly as possible. It's about how consistent can you be with doing something that's relatively enjoyable for you. For a lot of people, that's walking, maybe riding a bike. That's actually semi-enjoyable. For me, it's actually enjoyable, but it's consistent and it's sustainable for me, because I would rather burn 400 calories, whatever the number is, not accurate at all, but let's say 400 calories in an hour, than to burn 400 calories in 15 minutes and just hate every second of it. My goal is consistency, it's sustainability, it's to keep doing the same things or stay healthy for as long as I can and just be as consistent as long as I can. So walking for me is extremely useful. It's useful for a lot of people, my clients as well, and it's a very underrated form of cardio. And it does help out your heart as well. Yeah, I appreciate everybody for being here. Keep asking me questions. Got a lot of people on this Q&A today. You lost all your weight, you're lacking muscle now. Do you stop calorie deficit? You've been slowly increasing calories, good carbs, good fats. So if you've lost all the weight you wanted to lose before, and now you're just at your goal weight, body weight on the scale, it's a good idea to start increasing your calories a tiny bit, or at the very least be at a calorie maintenance now that you want to put on some muscle. So mentally is the hardest part, to get into a calorie maintenance, because if you're used to being in a calorie deficit for such a long time, it's difficult to get to cross the border in the sense of, all right, let me just eat a bit more. It's a mental challenge, but in order to put on some quality muscle the right way, I would suggest to work up to your maintenance level calories. If you're currently at your maintenance level calories, and go in a calorie surplus of maybe 2, 3, 400 calories per day over. See how your body reacts, see how your weight fluctuates, and see how you feel, most importantly. Yeah, I share this information for everybody here. So if you have any questions, ask down below. I'll be more than happy to get back to as many people as I can. How do you get a list of all the meals that I prepare? I don't have a list. I don't have a cookbook. People tell me I should make one. I'm just so busy. I can't make a cookbook right now. I would love to. I do share a lot of meals with my clients. I tell them how much they should be eating, what they should be eating. A lot of meals that I personally eat, I share with them. But as far as having like a recipe book that I have to give away to, or to sell, like I don't do that kind of stuff. So I don't have that on hand. How do you know how many calories you should eat? Well, first I should ask what are your goals. If your goals are to lose weight, you should be in a calorie deficit. But a very easy way is to go on Google, type in TDEE calculator. It'll give you a number, a general number that you should be eating in order to reach your weight loss goals, and try to follow that number as consistently as possible without falling off track, which is why it's important to eat as much as possible while losing weight rather than eating as little as possible, as little as you can get away with while losing weight. You never want to just get by. You never want to just survive the weight loss journey. If your mentality, if your approach is just getting by or surviving on as little calories as possible from day one, you will fall off track. You will create unhealthy food habits. You will lose a ton of weight the first 2 weeks and just gain it back, or just not lose any whatsoever because you just burn yourself out. So eat as much as possible while being in a calorie deficit, and you will thank yourself because that is so much more sustainable. For some reason, it's not letting me scroll back up to the comments, which is extremely unfortunate. But I'll see the new comments here, and I'll get back to as many people. You're losing 30 pounds? That's amazing. Congratulations. Your calorie deficit says 1,500. Is that take into consideration if you work out? Or is it okay, for example, to do 1,600 after a tough workout? So your calorie deficit should be based around your BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate, which is how many calories you spend without exercising or being active, pretty much just laying in bed, breathing, and staying alive. That's your BMR. That's not what a calorie deficit is based off of. A calorie deficit is based off of your TDEE, which is total daily energy expenditure, which is your BMR plus all the activities that you do. So if your calorie deficit, whatever calculator that you use, whatever calculation that you did says 1,500, I would suggest to not eat more on workout days and keep it constant and as consistent as possible. So you definitely don't want to eat back your calories. So if you regularly eat 1,500 and you burn 400 calories in a workout, you don't want to eat plus 400 during that day. It kind of defeats the purpose. So keep your calories the same over the course of a week and just be as consistent as possible while doing that. Why do I always hold my wearable mic in my hand? So I can get comments exactly like that. How do you handle losing a ton of weight as far as toning an extra skin, or stay motivated as it gets more difficult to see changes? How do you handle losing a lot of weight as far as toning? So if I'll use so a lot of weight is relative to the person. I'm not sure exactly how much weight you have lost, but in any regard, congratulations on losing that weight. It's not easy, but I'll use myself as an example. So I've lost 135 pounds, and people get ask me all the time, "Where's you lose skin? Why don't you have any? Where's you lose?" I have loose skin. I just don't have as much as somebody else because I am taller. I'm a bit more muscular than most people, so it's not as visible. I definitely have some. It is an insecurity of mine, and I'm just sharing it with people because that's what it is. But as far as putting on muscle and toning after you lose weight, so first of all, there's no such thing as toning. Toning is it's just a word. It doesn't exist, because what you may think as far as toning is just more muscle definition. And as far as muscle definition, it comes down to two factors only: putting on more muscle and reducing your body fat percentage. That will allow you to see more muscle definition. Toning is a term that does not exist. It's not. Uh, it's all nonsense. It doesn't exist. So what you want to do is put on as much muscle as you can and reduce your body fat percentage as much as possible. That will allow your skin, not your skin, but your muscle to grow, your fat to decrease, and it will show you some muscle definition. But as far as staying motivated, um, motivation is a very it will not be there most of the time. That's just a fact. So relying on motivation or trying to be motivated every day is setting yourself up for failure. So what I would recommend drastically or strongly is to create habits every day that you do that's a non-negotiable for you. Have your non-negotiables that you do every day no matter what. So if you feel like crap, you don't want to do anything, you still have these things that you do no matter what. If you're feeling great and you're feeling motivated for a day, which will not be that often, by all means, take that motivation, do as much as you can with it. But when motivation isn't there, and it's not going to be most of the time, what do? What are your non-negotiables? What are your habits? That is what matters most, because motivation is not going to be there most of the time. The sooner that you understand that, the easier this will become. How do I feel about bariatric surgery? I haven't had it. I have worked with people that have had that surgery. I have, listen, if surgery is a last resort, there's some people that need it, honestly. I'm not for or against it. It's a necessity for some people. So if you've tried everything, if you have maybe some difficulties that are just impossible to deal with, if you have gotten multiple medical professionals opinions on what you should do, and they're all in alignment with what you should be doing. I'm not a medical professional. I just have opinions. I'm a guy on social media talking to you about weight loss help and advice and stuff like that. I am not a medical professional. I have opinions. But if you want to do weight loss surgery because that's your last resort, you've exhausted every other possible option, and you have tried, I mean, genuinely try your best to lose weight. I don't mean detoxes. I don't mean cleanses, or I don't know, wraps or hula hoops, or I mean genuinely try to fix your eating habits and nothing works. Maybe that is an option for you. I can't tell you that. But if it's a necessity, do it. You've lost 80 pounds on your own, but you feel stuck. Yeah, it happens. 80 pounds is a lot of weight. So congratulations for doing that. But sometimes what got you here isn't going to get you there. So you might just need to change a few things. The struggle is real. Absolutely. Trust me. People say all the time, I'm in a weight loss plateau for 2 weeks. The weight hasn't budged for a month. It's going to happen more times than not. So you might as well understand that it's all part of the process than to just go downhill. Like, I was in a plateau for over 4 years. It's not easy. Can you gain muscle without being in a calorie deficit if you eat maintenance calories but only eat my body weight in protein? So if you're first starting out, if you're brand new to this, you're a newbie to this, if you first are starting out as far as weight training and you're in a calorie deficit, you will put on some muscle because it's a brand new stimulus to you. But once you kind of exhaust these like newbie gains, in a sense, you will not put on more muscle. But if you're brand new to this, if you just never tried weight training before and now you're doing this and you still are in a calorie deficit, you will put on some muscle in the beginning, but not long term. What about wine? Is it okay? Wine is absolutely delicious. I mean, it's just calories in it. Work it into your nutrition. I tell my clients all the time, I do not require you, I'll never tell you to take out alcohol, because if you enjoy it, if it's a decent pastime for you, if it's a social thing for you, include alcohol in the right amounts. I show them how to do it the right way. But you should know that it's just calories in your alcohol. It's nothing special. Make it a part of your nutrition. How do I track my fitness? What do you like to use? MyFitnessPal? Yep, I use MyFitnessPal. I don't have any smart watches. I'm just not a big fan of them. MyFitnessPal I've been using for over, I guess, 8 years or so. I know it has changed, but it's some very fundamentally amazing options in MyFitnessPal, and that's what my clients use. You've lost 20 pounds in 2 months. That's amazing. What exercises were the most successful for me with back and abs? So here's a story about back. So I love training back. It's probably one of my favorite areas to train, and there's a big reason for that. I don't think I've said this before, but I was extremely overweight back in the day. When I was obese, I went to this uh, camp. It was like a day camp. We went to the park, and some kid was bullying me that time, right? Because I used to get bullied all the time back then, and he told me, "You look like you have boobs growing out your back." That's what the kid told me. In hindsight, and it was crazy for him to say that, but it is what it is, right? He told me that, and over the years, it kind of like got engraved in me, because now I had fat rolls like everywhere. So I started to train back as hard as possible all the time. So for me, training a back, which I guess the back is pretty developed for me, because I just put the most emphasis on it, because it means the most to me because of what happened back then. But as far as training back, what has helped me the most as far as training back, what I feel like as far as development was um, deadlifts to a degree, but they're not required. There's better choices than deadlifts, but I have done a lot of deadlifts. But what I feel like would be beneficial for a lot of people is dumbbell rows. I absolutely love dumbbell rows. I think it's one of the best exercises for your back as well as your obliques because you have a stabilization part as far as moving your arm, as well as vertical pulls, such as close grip, uh, lateral pull downs, wide grip pull downs. Um, Shrugs. I absolutely love shrugs, which is, works this area, but also the lower part of your upper back. As far as also back development, I would suggest to do seated, um, not vertical, horizontal rows. So like a cable machine where you sit down and you just row it back. That's also very beneficial. But the most important part as far as muscle growth is consistency. It's progressive overload. And what is so people tend to think that muscle confusion is something that is beneficial to their growth. I got to confuse my muscle. I got to do this exercise and do a different exercise back then. And muscle confusion is complete BS. It does not make any sense. Just because your muscle feels sore does not mean that it's growing. And just because it feels sore by doing a different exercise, it's just because your muscle is being stimulated differently. Doesn't mean that it's actually grown. But the best way to grow your muscle, whatever muscle you're working on, is by progressive overload. So what progressive overload is first of all, you should be doing an exercise at a minimum of 12 weeks consistently before you change things up. At least 12 weeks. That's a long time, but patience is key. So what progressive overload is if you're doing an exercise, doesn't matter what it is, you have a certain weight. Let's say you're using 50 pounds, whatever it is. Now, it's your goal to increase the volume over time. What a volume is reps times weight times sets. So you can either increase the reps that you do over time with the same weight. You can increase the sets that you do over time with the same weight. You can increase the weight, keep the reps and the sets the same, or you can reduce the rest period. That's another one. It's the fourth way. But you got to get stronger in a certain exercise over time by means of increasing the weight, the reps, the sets, or decreasing the rest period. So that's actually how you're going to grow, not by doing different exercises all the time. Hopefully that's not too confusing, but that's actually what's going to help you grow. I'm not going to tell you that you have to try these crazy workouts that I invented because they work. There's tons of stuff like that out there. There's no gimmicks to this. Honestly, there's no gimmicks. There's no magical solutions. It's all about consistency, which is why I always say that consistency is absolutely everything, because not even in weight loss, even in like business, in relationships, in weight loss too, fitness, whatever it is that you're doing, if you're consistent enough, if you're consistent in being good enough, you will be successful. Not about changing different things all the time. Be consistent in what you're doing. Make sure what you're doing is good enough for whatever goals you're trying to reach, and you will be successful. Do I mentor virtually for a fee? So I coach people online as far as sustainable weight loss and fitness. That's what I do. If you're interested in that, message me on Facebook. It's alex.solomon on Facebook. Message me, coach me, so I know that you're reaching out to me for that, because I get a lot of messages from people. I can't get back to everyone, but I do that. Do I have any videos on how to do dumbbell rows? I believe I had a few back then, but I'll include some new ones. Absolutely. I don't really do a lot of workout videos because I don't like to be filmed as far as working out. Just not my thing, which is why I don't have myself in the gym too many times as far as being filmed in the gym. I don't like the whole influencer thing. People film themselves working out. It's not my vibe. It's not what I like. I'm more kind of like secluded and, introverted in a sense. Keep asking me questions. And if you're getting any value from the video so far, drop a fire emoji in the comments below so I know this video is actually, at least at the very minimum, helping you out in some kind of way. You're 400 pounds. Will you be able to lose weight and maintain my muscle mass by just eating in a calorie deficit? Lose fat and maintain muscle mass by eating. calorie deficit. Okay, so as far as losing weight, when you lose weight, you don't only lose fat by itself. When you lose weight, you lose fat and muscle. Always. It's all about the ratios at which you lose them. In the same regard as when you gain weight, you never gain just muscle. You gain muscle and fat in different ratios. So when you're losing weight, you should understand that you will lose some muscle every single time. But as far as how do you lose as little muscle as possible while losing overall weight is to strength train. Train to be as strong as possible. That will help you preserve your muscle as much as you can. But the biggest thing is to have a very high protein diet that you're doing right now. So if you have a higher protein nutrition plan or diet that you're following now, plus the strength training, and you're losing weight because you're in a calorie deficit, this will help preserve as much muscle as possible. Now, when you're gaining weight and you're strength training, you're gaining muscle, absolutely, but you're also gaining fat. And the best way to reduce the amount of fat gain that you gain while you're gaining weight is to be in a very small calorie surplus so that your fat doesn't just, so you don't put on as much fat as quickly as possible. What's up, Christopher? You're 53, 5'4", 260 pounds, a housekeeper, and postmenopausal. Any tips? Yeah, absolutely. So if you're a housekeeper, your activity level is definitely pretty much up there, as I would imagine, because your work is very physically active. So a few tips I would say is to, by far the most important one is track your food. Before you think about what diet you should do, what detox you should do, what cleanse, what specific food you should do, eat or eliminate, none of that stuff matters as much as tracking your food. So I would suggest strongly to track your food as much as possible, no matter what you do, no matter what age you are, no matter what stage of life you're in. If you track your food, I guarantee you will be more accountable for what you eat. And as a result, by tracking your food, you will eat less because you will see exactly what you're eating and you'll be more self-accountable, which will help you make better choices of your food going forward. Is it easy? Is it true it's easier for a man to lose weight? Women is so much harder, especially after 40. So women definitely go through different hormonal stages in life that guys don't. So in that regard, it may be easier. Um, Men definitely have more muscle mass, but I feel like if you're both at a very similar age, it should be very, very similar. Both people can do same activities. And both people can still strength train, eat accordingly, because what a male might need to eat is not what a female might want to eat, but it's still relative to your goals. Your basal metabolic rate is going to be different, but you're going to eat differently anyways. So it's still very, very similar. So it's not impossible by any means. Is it easier? Probably a little bit, yeah. Do I recommend a detox every now and then? Absolutely not. No. No detoxes. Your liver, your kidneys, your lungs, all your organs that are responsible for actually cleansing your system are already doing a great job unless you have issues with those organs. And if you do, you should go to a medical professional because a detox or a juice cleanse is the last thing that you should be doing. Absolutely do not recommend detoxes. Unless you want to waste your money, by all means do it. But your liver and your kidneys already do all the detoxing that your body needs. Anything else is pretty much not necessary. You lost 34 pounds just eating better and walking 3 miles a day. Should you start running or does it matter? Um, you can run if you want to. It's not necessary. If you want to just try it out because you want to feel better or different, maybe you just want to try something new, do it. But if you're still walking and eating better, there's no need to add in anything extra. Awesome job, Drew. You've seen a change in your clothing, but the scale hasn't changed. But in 8 weeks, I've changed how and what I'm eating. What else can I do? So why would you change anything if you're seeing progress? So yesterday I was actually having a coaching call with my clients and we were talking about progress and how to measure progress. And this is a very, very important topic because a lot of people only gauge their progress based on the scale. That's it. So your clothes could be fitting better. Your food relationship might be extremely different in the best way possible. Your clothes are fitting better. Your measurements are better. Maybe you stop binge eating. Maybe you're setting a better example for your kids. None of that stuff matters to you if the scale doesn't budge. Like all of these, 100 different things can be showing you that you're making tremendous progress. But if the scale doesn't budge or it goes up a pound, all of these amazing things don't matter to you at all of a sudden. That's a very unhealthy kind of mindset. And I understand why people think this way, because the scale kind of shows them like an all or nothing approach. But it's the wrong mentality. The scale, you can drink this cup of water right here. I can drink it right now, which I am, and be up 2 pounds. That does not mean that I've gained weight or actual fat. It does not mean that my progress is bad or different. But if I allow that number on the scale to just tell me that you're doing something right or wrong, then it's very easy to get mixed up in that. So separate yourself away from the scale. You're doing so many great things. Your clothes are fitting better. Your food relationship is probably tremendously better. Your clothes are fitting better. Measurements, all these things are doing better, and that should be a bigger focus than just a number on the scale. So don't do anything different. You're doing everything right. You know. Can you use dumbbells for your strength training? Absolutely. I love dumbbells. If you have two dumbbells, you essentially have a whole entire gym or arsenal of workouts that you can do. Absolutely. What food should you be absolute Let me see. What food should you avoid when getting started at all when trying to lose? I'm addicted to sugar and junk even though I eat small amounts. Love your tips. So this may be pretty controversial, but sugar is not addictive by itself. If it was, you would see people going outside and just carrying bags of white sugar and eating it with a spoon. Sugar by itself is not addictive. When mixed with salt, sugar actually becomes addictive. So you're not addicted to actually sugar, you're just addicted to snacks, most likely salty and sweet snacks. So as far as foods that you should avoid, so that's where it becomes a unhealthy kind of mindset. So you never want to look at food as either being good or bad. There's no good or bad food unless it's spoiled or it tastes like crap, or maybe, I don't know, you just don't want to eat it. Food is just nutrition. There's calories in food. There's energy in food. And if you go into a nutrition plan or a weight loss journey because you with a mentality of good and bad food, you will never create a healthy food relationship, because there's no such thing as good or bad food. So avoiding food entirely is probably not the best idea unless you have some trigger foods that you absolutely get off track if they're close to you. For me, it's peanut butter. If it's in the house, then I just lose control. It's just the way that I am. So I just prefer not to have peanut butter in the house. I still have it when I go outside, but not in the house. So as far as foods that you should avoid, I would say include the foods that you want to eat in the right amounts relevant to your goals, and don't look at it as being a bad food unless it tastes like crap or it's a trigger food for you. 31 days down, lost 17 pounds. That's amazing. Congratulations, David. Any help to gain weight? Absolutely. My whole life has been a weight gain thing. So, as far as gaining weight, you want to eat very small volume of food that's high in calories. The exact opposite thing of losing weight. So, losing weight, you want to eat a large volume of food for little calories. The exact opposite for weight gain. So this may be, for example, if people that are trying to lose weight are eating tons of salads because it's tons of volume and lean protein. If you want to gain weight, maybe replace those salads and lean protein for, could be maybe, I don't know, potatoes, pasta, bread, peanut butter, fattier cuts of protein. You want to get more calories in to gain weight. I'm not saying to eat those foods specifically, but it's just some options for you. And I appreciate everybody for being here. This is awesome. Cheesecake and brownies. Yeah, I mean, if you find that you have some foods that just trigger, your create a uncontrollable eating pattern, I would just say just separate yourself away from those foods. Is it okay to walk 5 miles and lift on the same day? Absolutely. I walk and lift in the same day. I just choose to do cardio after workouts because all of my energy goes to strength training first. Yeah, cheesecake and brownies are absolutely delicious, and if I have it in the house, I won't just stop eating it. What are my thoughts on using a Nutrisystem program to jumpstart weight loss? Um, what's I'm not sure exactly what Nutrisystem is. I would imagine it's like a meal replacement program, just like I don't know Herbalife or maybe Isogenics or other ones out there. Probably very similar. If you want to jumpstart weight loss, you don't need that stuff. You just need to eat real food in the right amounts and just move a bit more. So instead of trying a system or a program to lose weight, listen, the biggest thing is to not create a reliance on anything. No reliance on magic supplements, no reliance on appetite suppressant supplements or medication, no reliance on special programs that you feel like you have to do, no reliance on special meal plans. There's no special meal plans ever. No reliance on somebody's special secret methods because there's no special secret methods. You don't want to create any reliance on anybody or anything. You want to eat real food. You want to train in whichever way is doable for you. You want to be as active as you can. That's enjoyable and sustainable for you, and be as consistent as possible in doing those things. Real nutrition, real food, no replacement. If you want to do a protein shake, do it. I do it sometimes too, not all the time. I make sure to eat my food all the time. And no reliance. You want to make sure this is sustainable for you. If you're relying on people, supplements, or systems from day one, you're not going to be doing that for a year from now. So don't do that in the first place. Do you rely on a food scale? I mean, the food scale is definitely useful. I still use it for certain things, but I've done it for such a long time that I kind of eyeball it now. Intermittent fasting. I covered intermittent fasting before. It's good if it fits your schedule. It's good if you don't like breakfast, but it's not. I may have done it before for many, many years. Do I have a YouTube channel? I do. You can just search my name on YouTube. I forgot what the URL is. I have a YouTube channel link in my Facebook profile and my Instagram profile, I believe. You can definitely find me on there. Was I an emotional eater? If so, how did you overcome it? Emotional eater here, so would love to know more. As far as emotionally eating, it's different for everyone. I would suggest to figure out what causes these emotions. Sometimes it's best to figure out to fix the root cause of the problem. But as far as me, um, I would say to go for a short walk. Just clear your mind a little bit. If you feel like it's coming on, go for a short walk. Walk around the house, go into your backyard, wherever it is, just clear your mind a little bit. Number two, I would suggest to pause for a little bit. So if you feel like you're about to start eating for whatever reason, pause and ask yourself, am I really hungry? Or am I just going to be eating because for whatever reason? Because if you pause and you ask yourself that question, you give yourself the opportunity to actually make a better decision. Whereas if you were to just, put blinders on and just eat whatever because you feel a certain way, it's very difficult to stop yourself. Um, Also, fixing the bigger cause of the emotions is always a better idea. I think so. Also, as far as if you're about to eat, this is a good example. And um, if a plain chicken breast, not seasoned, doesn't sound good to you, you're probably not hungry. But if you're this is like how to know if you're actually hungry. But if a plain chicken breast just sounds absolutely delicious and you can eat that because it sounds like the best thing in the world right now, then you're probably hungry. But if you can snack on something, if that looks appetizing, oh, I can go for that right now. Some chips, some ice cream. You're probably not hungry. Now that's what I use for myself, and it's a very good kind of mental cue. Did I ever try keto? I absolutely did try keto. I tried keto for months because I thought that keto was a magic answer for everything. I was trying to lose weight. I lost over 130 pounds. I tried to do keto, and keto was I thought was the answer, but I never stuck to it because it was not sustainable to me. So I just stopped doing it and I started eating what I wanted to in the right amounts. You've helped me so much get out of my stall with weight loss. You made it seem much more sustainable and not so daunting to get back to my happy weight. Yeah, I appreciate that, Jen. That's why I do these videos, for people to ask me questions. I put out content so you can just look at it, see if it's applicable to you, and try it. I don't force anything. Yeah. Same thing with my clients. I don't tell them you have to do this. I just suggest it because the person should be met where they're at. If the person isn't willing to make a change, to do something, you can't really force them, you know? And forcing somebody to actually do something specific creates different extra struggles that don't need to be there. So the person has to be met where they're at and make a program or a plan around where they're currently at, instead of just pushing them forward or backwards and forcing things on them. The first time, for example, I joined the gym, the first time I ever joined the gym, I quit after a single day because I was forced to go there. I didn't want to do it. I felt intimidated. I felt like people were judging me. I felt like I was out of place. I hated it and I left. That was the first time. The next time I went there, doctor told me you have no choice. You got to just get your act together. You know, what snacks besides fruit do you recommend? Um, Popcorn's pretty good. Tons of fruits, tons of frozen fruits are my favorite. I just love fruits. I'm not gonna tell you there's anything magical I eat for snacks, but I just love fruits. Frozen, fresh, maybe smoothies. Popcorn's good. Popcorners, they have the circles, the popcorn crisps. Um, Maybe a protein bar if you're not at home, but I don't really eat protein bars because I just don't like the aftertaste. And if I can eat a tiny meal for 200-300 calories instead of a protein bar, I absolutely will. Or for a snack, maybe a low carb wrap with deli meat or leftover protein. It's totally fine. You try keto for 2 weeks, it didn't go very well. I've been there before. Trust me, I've been there. What do I do for cravings at night before bed? That's a good question, Jake. So I'm a huge nighttime eater, nighttime snacker for years, even until this day. So nighttime eating is like my thing. I teach my clients about this a lot, but a few things that you can have or you can try for nighttime cravings or snacks and stuff like that is to think to yourself, how far away is my bedtime compared to my dinner? So if your dinner is, let's say, 5 p.m. and you don't go to sleep until 10 p.m., that's like 5 hours of that's a 5 hour window of opportunity for you to actually get hungry, snack, or eat. So what I would suggest is to push your dinner closer to bedtime. And it's not bad eating after 7 p.m. It's totally fine. But push your dinner closer to bedtime because this will close the window or shorten the window that you have to eat and to even give yourself the chance to be hungry. So maybe push your dinner to 7 or 8 p.m. You effectively just cut down your window of opportunity to snack or get hungry from 5 hours to 2, 3 hours. So that's already better. The second tip you can do is to have a giant salad for dinner, or have a salad in addition to whatever dinner you were eating before. So maybe a giant bowl of salad to fill you up. Maybe having a small meal, but also have a bunch of vegetables to the side of that meal. You know, because you want your dinner to fill you up as long as possible until the time you go to sleep, because that's going to keep you actually full and stop you from snacking. So for me, my dinner is always the largest meal of the day, non-negotiable, because I know that if I don't have a large meal in the evening, I will snack. Do I drink diet soda like Coke Zero, or do you only do water? So no, I absolutely love Coke Zero. I drink like 1 to 2 per day. Per day. There's no human evidence that says that artificial sweeteners are actually bad for you. There's no human evidence that says that it raises your insulin or it makes your cravings worse or it's bad for you. It's not. There are actually like people that are just 100 times smarter than me that are proving these things. It's not just me saying this. Google it. There's no evidence about human consumption for artificial sweeteners that are actually bad for you. But don't believe me. Just go read it. Any tips for keeping the weight off after a 40-pound weight loss? Um, well, how did you lose the weight? If you lost the weight in a very unsustainable way, it's gonna be more difficult. So I would say just to eat regular food, but you should also strength train. Put on as much muscle as you can to make weight loss or keeping the weight off easier. Because if you have more muscle, it allows you to keep the weight off just a bit easier. Because muscle takes more calories to keep itself in its size than fat does. Also include some kind of cardio, like go for a walk every day and make that your non-negotiable. 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, whatever it is, and increase your average weekly activity level. Yeah, so ice cream is absolutely delicious. I love it. I love all low-calorie ice cream. I Last time I went to Target or supermarket, I bought like 9 pints of low-calorie ice cream. It was so good. Yeah, you started eating dinner close to bedtime. Yep. Yeah, I'm a huge nighttime eater. Absolutely. And liquid intake also definitely helps with cravings. Isn't fruit very high in sugar, like grapes and watermelon? Were some of the first changes I made. Didn't it feel impossible at your highest weight? That's where you asked. So Laura asked that. So it definitely felt impossible. It definitely felt like, so when I first started my weight loss journey, I looked at people that had lost a lot of weight before and their success stories. And I was like, wow, that must be nice. How do they do it? I had no idea. And it put me down. And the biggest realization that I made as far as losing weight, there's a few, but one of the biggest ones is that if this person achieved this progress, why can't I? Why can't I? That was my mentality, because whatever somebody else has accomplished, you can too. Not just weight loss, in life, in business, in, I don't know, different areas of life. If somebody did it, so can you. You are no different than anybody else. I mean, you are obviously, but you can still reach the same thing the person has reached. And what got me to see slower progress than I wished, because I was stuck for like 4 or 5 years or so, is or a couple of years, is comparing myself to somebody else. So I looked at fitness models in magazines. I looked at fitness professionals in like social media or the articles, forums, magazines. And the more I tried to compare myself to them, um, the bigger this association was between me and what's achievable. So I just kept putting myself down by telling myself, well, I don't look like them. When will I look like them? I don't look like them. Oh, I lost 10 pounds. It's awesome. But wait a minute, now I still don't look like them. And it made any kind of progress that I had be extremely diminished. So you can do whatever you want to do. You can accomplish that, absolutely. But you got to just focus on yourself and be a bit better today than you were last week. And this consistency is absolutely everything. If you're a bit better today than you were yesterday or last week, all it takes is just to be a bit better consistently. That's it. Yes, salsa and mustard are, and hot sauce are probably one of the few weight loss hacks that I still do. Do I give myself a cheat day? Um, yeah. So as far as cheat days, it's very easy for a cheat day to become a all-out binge, which is the big difference that you should understand. Is I don't do cheat days. If I want to eat something that pushes me over my calories, I just eat it. It's not a big deal for me. But I used to have cheat days, and that was the wrong move, because it's very easy if you tell yourself Saturday or Sunday, I'm having a cheat day. What that causes is for you to eat uncontrollably from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, which would be a lot of calories if you put no limits on it, which will put you back probably a week's worth of a calorie deficit. So if you're, let's say, 500 calories in a deficit every day for 6 days, but you're over by 3,000 or whatever, 2,500 on one single day, you're effectively not at a maintenance level of calories. So what I do is I include my favorite food in my nutrition in the right amounts, and I enjoy myself. And if I have a meal, if I want to like have a meal that I don't track, or I kind of have it just because I want to splurge a bit, I keep it to a single meal. It's a lot more difficult to go over your overall calories for a single meal than it is if you were to eat uncontrollably from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep. Do I find people treat me differently once you started to lose the weight? Absolutely. It is what it is. People definitely treat me differently. People look at me differently, from relationships to professional to even like even doing these videos. I was and still am a huge introvert. The first time it took me to press the record button on the video, on my first video, it took me, no exaggeration, 3 hours to press the record button. And that's um my cat's not here. She's probably making a mess somewhere. But as far as me press, like, even people definitely treat me differently. The first time it took me to press the video record was 3 hours. I was self-conscious. Who's going to listen to me? Who cares about, who wants to listen to this guy talk? It's stupid. It's not going to help anybody. And that was my mentality for years. That's why I didn't start doing this that much sooner. you know so people still definitely treat me differently. I'm more confident in myself. I stand up more for myself and for others. It's also relevant. I look at myself differently. I appreciate myself more. And yeah, you want to listen to me every day. I appreciate that. The calorie counting app I use is MyFitnessPal. Everybody asks for my cat. She is adorable. And she's an immigrant. She was found in Greece 2 years ago. Now she lives in New York. Mrs. Worldwide. How long ago did my journey start? I think maybe like 9, 10, about 10 years ago. And that's when I started. It was a difficult 4 or 5 years for me to actually get to my lowest weight. It was not easy. I tried everything, all the mistakes, which is why I tell you how it is now. And my journey took me about, I started when I was about maybe 20-ish. I don't know the exact date or age, but it was about 20 years old, I think, 19 or 20. And it was hard at first. It was extremely hard. It felt impossible. It felt like I'm climbing a mountain that I'll never reach the top of. Guarantee it. I mean, I'm telling you exactly. Do I pay for my Fitness Pal, or is the free version enough? The free version is absolutely fine. You don't need the paid version. Yeah, David. What's up, David? Yeah, it took me, I started when I was 20. It's hard to put numbers on exact start dates because it's very blurry, but about 20 years old is when I started. The first few years, they sucked. They were just deprivation, elimination, doing too much, eating too little, trying different diets, trying different tons of supplements, finding the perfect supplement, the perfect ratios, the perfect workout, guilt from eating 5 French fries. Like, if I was to eat like a few French fries or a burger, I would just starve myself afterwards, or just go work out because I used to punish myself for eating food that I thought was bad for me. And that's a huge thing that was changed. And you should never punish yourself for eating something. You should treat your body, you should treat your health and weight loss journey as a reward for yourself. And people think that it's very simple. You move more, you eat less. It's not that simple. It's also mental. And if your mentality isn't in alignment with what you're trying to do, and you're not there mentally, it will be difficult to impossible. They keep asking me all your questions. If you're getting any value from this video so far, if it's helping you out a little bit, drop a fire emoji down below. It does help the algorithm. It helps push this video out to more people, and maybe put this video in front of them. So it definitely helps them out as well. And keep asking me all your questions. If you have a question, I guarantee you hundreds of other people that are watching this video will also appreciate me answering those questions. So you're helping out somebody else as a result. What roles do protein shakes have with people, with as far as weight loss? Um, Protein shakes are just protein. It's a supplement. It's a supplement to your nutrition. So what roles it have? It gets your protein in quicker. That's all it does. Protein shakes can be used for weight loss, weight gain, It's not magical. Most of your nutrition should come from a protein, or I mean, overall nutrition should come from regular food, real, not all food is real, but whole foods like whole proteins, chickens, fish, I don't know, uh, plant-based proteins. And if you can't get enough protein from that, have a protein shake, you know. And I generally don't drink that many protein shakes. Very, very rarely. I use my protein powder inside actual food because I just don't like protein shakes by themselves. And I eat my food, plain and simple. Do I need to adjust how many calories to eat a day as I lose weight? No, I would say eat a certain number of calories for a certain period of time, maybe 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 20 weeks. See how you're at. If your weight loss completely goes to a halt for a few weeks, readjust your calories a little bit or include more activity. What are your thoughts on creatine and BCAAs um, on post workout? So BCAAs, I don't think are very necessary. They're pretty much a waste of money, in my opinion, because you get a lot of branched chain amino acids from regular protein that you eat. People and creatine too. Creatine I actually take every day, but you don't need to consume creatine because what happens a lot of times is that people think that supplements are necessary. People think that supplements are required. Meanwhile, their sleep is absolute trash. Their nutrition could use a huge overhaul, and the training program can use a huge overhaul or be improved dramatically. So you have these three factors that are so much more important and that you can actually fix right now, but you don't. You try to focus on supplements, and supplements will maybe give you like a 2% boost, if that, if the other things are as good as it can be. So you're always better off not taking supplements and fixing your sleep, nutrition, and your training. Always. And if those things are optimized as much as they can be and are just as good as it can be, maybe then consider taking supplements. But you don't need to take supplements. Just fix your sleep, nutrition, and training. You can fix those things for free. How to help sleep? Disconnect your phone from maybe stop looking at your phone an hour or two before you go to sleep. Maybe see if get one of those breathing strips that opens up your nose so you don't wake up so much in the middle of the night. See if you have sleep apnea, because a lot of people do. If you have sleep apnea, suck it up and get a machine. It's gonna suck, but it's gonna be so beneficial for you because you're gonna wake up feeling refreshed and amazing. Um, don't drink caffeine too close to going to sleep. Liquid collagen, waste of money. Maybe for hair or something like that, but you don't need collagen. It sounds like it may work, but it doesn't. Never skip dessert. What are some of my favorite options for that? I love dessert. I think that it's my idea, but it's necessary. So low calorie ice cream, maybe a protein smoothie or protein ice cream, depends how you make it. I love frozen fruit for desserts. Maybe some like low carb brownies, low carb snacks, maybe some protein cereal. I just like eating cereal out of the box. I'm weird like that. Maybe some chocolate, regular chocolate. You can have what you want to do or what you want to eat. It's not no good or bad. Just calorie management is the most important thing. If you want to have a piece of cheesecake for dessert, eat a piece of cheesecake if your calories allow for it. And if they don't, and it pushes you over your calories, just know that it's fine, because if you're in a calorie deficit and you eat a piece of cheesecake, you will just probably be brought up close to your maintenance and not at your surplus yet. You down 13 pounds in 10 weeks. That's amazing. Yeah, keep it up. What protein powder do I use? I use Legion protein powder and bodybuilding.com protein powder. If you want to try Legion, I am working with them. I am sponsored by them. Use code AlexSolo at checkout. You will get like 20% off your entire order. It helps me out too. And as far as joint pain, there's many different variables to joint pain. Try fish oils. Try actually recovering properly. If you notice that your training routine is too much pressing, try maybe not doing so much pressing and kind of switch up your training routine. Maybe it's arthritis. That's something you should go to a medical professional for. But fish oils sometimes help. Painkillers help, obviously. Um, yeah. As far as energy drinks, they're good if you need an energy boost. I drink coffee or rarely take a pre-workout. Um, I love the 0 calorie monsters. They're absolutely delicious, and I drink them rarely. Thoughts on alcohol when you do consume some or have a night out. If you have alcohol, just know that most of your calories will come from the food you eat after you drink, not the actual alcohol. So plan accordingly. If you're going to be going out with your friends, and I teach this to my clients all the time, is you should plan accordingly. If you know you're going out, save the bulk of your calories for that meal. Make sure you don't go out hungry, because if you start drinking while you're hungry, you're going to overeat by a lot. So eat before you go out a little bit, save some of your calories for that, or a lot of your calories for that meal, and don't go out super hungry. You don't want to be sitting down in a restaurant or a bar, drinking a ton while you're hungry, and then going to be overeating by a ton of food at the bar or restaurant because you're already under the influence and you're hungry or starving. How do you open push doors on pull days? I don't know what that means. When counting calories, do you count the oil, butter you might use in the cooking process? Absolutely. Yes. A tablespoon of cooking oil or butter is easily 100 plus calories. That's a lot of calories. And a lot of people use more than a few tablespoons, not teaspoons, tablespoons of oil in their cooking process. That's a few hundred calories that are unaccounted for. Yeah, I love these questions. I'm sure it's helping a lot of people. I appreciate everybody for being here. You lost 100 pounds. That's incredible. What is the best number of calories to consume for a 55-year-old woman? I am active. I don't know. There is no best number of calories to consume for anybody. It's about what's relevant to your body, to your what's that, activity level, your muscle mass, your schedule, your workout routine, everything. So as far as what's the best amount of calories to consume for a 55-year-old woman, I don't know. Nobody knows specifically for you. You can go plug in your data into a calculator, get an idea, follow that calorie allotment for yourself, see how you do, see how your weight fluctuates, and take it from there. Do I have alternate muscle fibers I target in my training, red, white? So I think you mean fast twitch or slow twitch muscle fibers, not red, white. As far as fast twitch or slow twitch muscle fibers, I just strength train. I'm not an athlete as far as training for a sport specific exercise. I just train. I like to work out. It's what relieves my stress. I enjoy it, you know, but I don't focus too much on muscle fiber. I don't focus on the details. The details ultimately don't matter that much. The 5% that you think may matter, if the 5% that, if there's something that matters for 5%, but all your focus goes in that 5%, and you're not focusing on the other 95% that actually matters, you're kind of leaving a lot on the table. So I focus on the fundamentals, the things that actually work long term. So different details like what's the muscle fibers, the angle of this, the carbs from potatoes versus white rice, what's better for you, chicken breast or turkey breast. Like that stuff is so minimal, but people spend so much time on that it's just, it gets people off track. You're losing weight, but your stomach is looking hungover, can seem to get it tight. Yeah, so if you're losing a lot of weight, you're likely going to have some loose skin. It's just a reality. And if your stomach isn't getting tight, I would focus on dropping as much body fat percentage as possible and maybe doing a few core exercises to put on a bit of more muscle in that area. That's it. Will swimming be good to pair with a proper diet? Swimming is absolutely amazing. The only reason I say, or I don't recommend swimming, is because it's just not accessible for like the vast majority of people. If I say, oh, swimming, I mean, swimming is amazing, but how many people in the population can actually swim daily? Not a lot of people. How many people can actually bike ride or walk? A lot of people, you know? You've lost 25 pounds thanks to me. That's amazing. Not thanks to me, thanks to you. I don't do anything. I'm just a guy talking in front of a camera in his attic. Would I recommend specific spray oil or regular oil for cooking with to save mindless calories? Oils from spray are usually easier to control because it sprays out in a mist. It goes everywhere. But if you pour it out, you end up using more. So I would recommend to use a spray. But you can also make your own sprays. I believe I've never done it myself. I've seen it done. You can buy a spray bottle, put your own oil in there, and do it. But sprays are usually better. What's the best way to shed weight? Um, Simply put, move more, eat less. Just clean up your nutrition. Eat less snacks, eat less fatty foods. Replace fattier proteins for leaner proteins instead of eating um, maybe tons of rice on your plate or carbs. Maybe have less and put some vegetables on your plate. Reduce liquid calories. Start tracking your food. Track your food. If you change nothing but start tracking your food, you will see progress. I guarantee it, because people have no idea exactly how much they're eating because they're not tracking, they're not being accountable, and they're guesstimating how much they're eating. If you track your food, you'll see exactly or roughly how much you're eating, and you will start seeing results. I appreciate you, Robin. Thank you for saying that. I say calorie deficit all the time, but what do you think is a good carbohydrate limit to lose weight? There's no limit to carbohydrates. If you're eating generally high protein or higher protein, you can fill in the rest of your calories with carbs and fats. The specific ratios don't really matter that much because, I mean, I'm not an athlete. I mean, maybe like top tier athletes care about those details, but general people don't. So there's no carb limit. It's just a calorie limit. How you want to use up your calories. Maybe you want to eat more carbs or less carbs, because carbs are just, they have more calories, and I mean they have calories in them, 4 calories. So it's up to you. Should butter be eliminated from my diet? I love to use it. So as far as eliminating foods entirely, I typically don't recommend that. But if you have a certain food that you can't control yourself with, if you know that single food is making things a lot more difficult for you because you can't control yourself, maybe you should eliminate it. Eliminate it, but generally not. So if you just love butter, maybe try finding a lower calorie butter options like I can't believe it's not butter, or just don't use it. Simply put, because if it triggers you, if it causes you to overeat on that food, then it is what it is. I count. I do count macros. I count primarily calories and protein, and the rest, as far as carbs and fats, I eat what I want. I keep it simple. I used to count all the macros, but now I just count calories and protein, and also fiber. The rest, as far as carbs and fats, I eat what I want. I don't really care about it too much. Every time you achieve a new milestone, you seem to gain 10 pounds back and have to lose it again. I eventually get rid of it again, but I'm tired of the process. Any advice not have to lose it twice? I would suggest to ask yourself, how do you lose it, Joe? How do you lose the 10 pounds in the first place? Because if you're doing detoxes or cleanses to lose 10, 15 pounds in the first place, you will put it back because you just lost it in a very unsustainable way. So eat real food, be in a slight calorie deficit. When you eat food, don't try to eat as little as possible. Try to eat as much as possible while being in a calorie deficit. If you try to eat as little as possible and just see what you can get away with, you're gonna feel like you're starving and like you're punishing yourself. So eat as much as possible within your nutritional guidelines and be in a slight calorie deficit. You lost 80 pounds. Amazing. That's awesome. Cool. If you're still with me, if you're getting value from this video or still on this live, drop a fire emoji down in the comments below. How long to lose 100 pounds safely? Depends on you, depends on your body. And I would say, as a general blanket statement, 1%, about 1% of your total body weight lost per week is a good amount to aim for. So 1% of whatever your body weight is. There's no number, no specific number for you. It's a percentage because percentages are relative to you. So about 1%, maybe like zero point 0.8 to 1%. That's definitely still fine, but percentages are more relevant to your goals. 100 pounds in 7 months. That's amazing. That's better than me. Yeah, I appreciate everybody for being here. I had no idea this would be such a good turnout. This is awesome. Yeah, so I saw some people previously asking me if I'm doing kind of like coaching or mentoring. I do coach people for fitness, nutrition, and weight loss online. And if you're interested in that, if you want to see if we even be a good fit to work together, you can message me on Facebook or Instagram, and whichever one's easier for you. Just type in "coach me" so I know why you're reaching out to me because I get so many messages. I can't get back to everyone. Shoot me a message and we'll just talk. And last question before I hop off is how do you stay motivated? Is you will never stay motivated. Motivation is a myth. It's not going to be there when you need it most. And the more you keep relying on motivation, the more you will just shoot yourself down because motivation is not going to be there most of the time. So what you need to do is have habits and non-negotiables, things you do every single day, no matter what. Because when motivation isn't there, and it's not going to be probably 95% of the time, probably more, what do you still do when motivation isn't there? When it's raining outside, when you stub your toe in the corner of the bed, maybe you just don't feel like doing anything. When that's there, what do you still do that keeps you on track? What habits have you adopted? What non negotiables have you set for yourself that you will still follow if the motivation isn't there? But if the motivation is there, by all means, do all the things that you want to do. Go and conquer the world, but it's not going to be there most of the time. That's just a fact. So if somebody tells you, eh, I mean, if motivational speeches is something that you follow, or maybe somebody tells you, "Oh, I'm going to motivate you," it's not going to be there most of the time. That's just a reality. So don't chase it. Have your non-negotiables, have your habits that you follow no matter what, and you will be successful. I wish motivation was there every time you needed it, but it's not. Cool. That's it for today. I appreciate everybody for being here. Like I genuinely appreciate you. I had no idea this would be such a good turnout today, and I'll see you next time.